Ever catch yourself like daydreaming about, what life would be like if you had that rich mindset, not just like winning the lottery rich, but, that savvy approach to money. Some people just seem to have it, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And that's what we're diving into today. We're cracking open Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and, well, we're going to pull out the best tips, the stuff you can actually use right away.
And the best part, you don't have to be born rich. That's Kiyosaki's whole point. It's all about mindset, right? It's a way of thinking about money. Anyone can learn it.
That's so true. It's not even really about the money itself. It's about the choices we make. Speaking of choices, Kiyosaki uses this example of two dads. His own father, who, and this is interesting, his dad was brilliant but struggled financially. And then there was his friend's dad, a real self-made businessman.
It's a great way to set up his argument, that contrast.
Totally. So his biological father, even though he was super educated, often got stuck, working for a paycheck, just trying to get ahead.
Yeah, and it really highlights how these different mindsets actually play out in real life, right? His friend's dad, the rich dad, he had this knack for building things that made him money, even when he wasn't working.
He was off on a beach somewhere while the cash rolled in.
Exactly. That's a key takeaway, right? It's not about some inheritance. It's about creating wealth. You build things that pay you even while you sleep.
So like owning a ton of rental properties.
Well, sure, real estate can be part of it, but it's bigger than that.
Thank goodness being a landlord isn't for everyone.
Definitely not. Think of it this way. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes it out. A rental property can be an asset, sure, but so is a blog that generates ad revenue, or an online course you create once and sell over and over.
Wow. Okay. That's a really interesting way to think about it. So it's not just about like owning stuff, but changing how you think, right? Thinking about things that generate income. But Kiyosaki, he also talks about this other side of the rich mindset, something a lot of people have a hard time with, honestly, taking risks.
It's true. That word risk, it can be scary. But here's what Kiyosaki is really getting at. Don't just jump into anything. It's about calculated risks.
Okay, so like, what's an example of that?
Let me see. Okay, so when I was first starting out, in my field, I had this chance to join this new company. Everyone was saying it was high risk, high reward, that whole thing.
Sounds a little intense.
It was exciting, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I took the leap and I did my research first. Really dug into the company, talked to people, made sure I was covered financially just in case.
Did it pay off?
It did.
Yeah.
But even if it hadn't, I knew I would come out of it with experience. Hard lessons are still lessons, right? And that reminds me of another big part of the rich mindset, being okay with making mistakes.
Wait, so you're saying I shouldn't be afraid of failing? That's easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely. Failure, it's going to happen. Everyone messes up. It's really all about how we look at those mistakes,
So instead of being all, I'm a failure, it's more like, okay, what did I learn? How do I not do that again?
Yes, exactly. That attitude, always learning, you see that with so many successful people.
So who are we thinking of? Give me an example.
Okay, well, Warren Buffett,
Mm.
he's all about that long game with investing, right? But even he's made some bad calls.
Mm.
The difference is he studies those mistakes, figures out where he went wrong, then changes his approach.
He's like, to err is human, to learn from it is divine, and also makes me a lot of money.
Right. And it's not just about the money either, Kiyosaki, he's big on this idea of creating value.
That's something I wanted to ask you about. What does that even mean, practically speaking?
That's a great question. It's about offering something really good to the world. Not just making a buck, but solving a problem, filling a need, actually making someone's life better somehow.
So less about the product, more about actually helping people.
Exactly. The businesses that really last, the ones that become like institutions, they're not just selling stuff. They're giving people solutions, building communities, connecting with their customers.
And that comes back around to financial success, doesn't it? People support what they believe in, companies that make a difference.
Right. When you focus on creating value, the money, it kind of follows naturally. Think about someone like, Richard Branson.
Airlines, space travel, the guy does it all.
Exactly. He built an empire on shaking things up, creating companies that offer something totally new. And that leads us to another essential part of the rich mindset, that drive for financial freedom.
It seems like everyone talks about financial freedom, but what does that even really mean? Is it just about having tons of money so you can, like, retire early and never work again?
I mean, it could be, but honestly, for most people, it's about something way deeper. It's about, having choices, the freedom to build a life that fits what you care about, Maybe that is spending more time with family, or finally tackling that passion project, or hey, maybe it is traveling the world.
So it's not really about being rich in that like stereotypical way. It's more about having the resources to just live life how you want.
Exactly. It's about breaking free from that whole rat race thing. Kiyosaki talks about that a lot. Working just to pay the bills, maybe feeling stuck at a job you don't even like.
I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially these days. But if we don't learn this rich mindset stuff in school, how do we actually make it happen? Like, what can our listeners actually do starting today?
Well, the good news is you don't need some fancy degree or a trust fund to start thinking like a financially smart person. One of the biggest things, honestly, is catching those limiting beliefs you might have about money. Those can really hold you back.
You mean like those thoughts that pop up, like, oh, I'm so bad with money, or investing is just for rich people?
Yes, exactly those. Because think about it, those thoughts, they become self-fulfilling prophecies if you let them. So first, just notice them. When you hear yourself thinking that negative stuff, stop and challenge it. Swap it out with something positive and empowering. Like tell yourself, I can totally handle my money, or I'm going to learn about investing even if I start small.
I love that. Changing the script in your head, going from like scarcity to abundance.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides that, what else can people do to really put this rich mindset into action?
Well, one really practical step is to look for different ways to make money. That could be a side hustle, something you're actually passionate about, or finding ways to get paid for skills you already have.
Hmm.
Honestly, the internet's made it so much easier to have multiple income streams.
Yeah.
And you don't even need a ton of money to get started.
So instead of just that one paycheck, find ways to diversify, create a safety net.
Exactly. And while you're at it, start looking into different ways to invest. Even small amounts, starting early is key. That's how you let that compounding work its magic over time.
And there's so much information out there now, apps, online courses, it's all geared towards beginners. It's really about taking that first step, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Knowledge is power, especially with money. Oh, and another thing, find a mentor, or even just join a community of people who are into this stuff. Being around those who are good with money, it's contagious, it's inspiring.
Like having a financial cheer squad.
Exactly. And just remember, financial success, it's not some finish line you cross.
Yeah.
No, it's a journey. There'll be ups and downs, that's life. But with that rich mindset, you learn from the tough times, you adjust, and you never give up on what you want to achieve.
So, to sum up our deep dive here, it's not really about the number in your bank account, but how you think about money and what you're actively doing to build a better life financially.
Perfectly said. It's about that abundance mindset, taking chances, and always looking for ways to learn and grow.
And it's never too late to begin. Whether you're just starting out or want to level up, this rich mindset can really help you create a life with more freedom, more possibilities.
Couldn't agree more.
This has been such a great conversation. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
Happy to be here.
And listeners, we want to hear from you. What really resonated with you? What are you inspired to do? Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay curious.